Hey guys, what's up? I'm Rizzo.
I'm Zero.
And I'm DK. And this is
Otaku
Otaku Saga
Saga
Talks.
Where we talk.
About fall 2016's anime reaction lineup.
So yeah, this is our postseason podcast.
Yep.
And so we're going to go right on down in alphabetical order, starting with the first half of Sangatsu no Lion, which starts with a number, so it's first. It's first, damn it! Anyway, so Sangatsu no Lion is a slice-of-life anime that follows Rei, who is a professional shogi player who's in high school. It's... let's see.
A lot deeper than that synopsis leads on.
It's very deep. It deals a lot with Rei's personal tragedy.
And there are heaps of it, yes.
And there are heaps of it. But it's also filled with the more lighthearted moments of with the Kawamoto sisters. A group of sisters who has basically adopted Rei.
And it's very artsy.
Yeah, it is very artsy. It's animated by Studio Shaft, so you kind of expect artsiness with it. I'd have to say, though, it's a lot more realistic than most of Shaft's work. Even the bits of Shaft's work that are supposed to be based in the real world are kind of artsy.
But this one, I mean, it's a fantastic art trip, for damn sure. It's a fantastic art trip, fantastic feels trip.
That's for sure.
And I will never get over that clack of
the tile.
The shogi type.
Every time.
Oh my god.
Just one of many details they portrayed, just beautiful.
Yeah, not just the clack, but when they clack it and then slide it back into the square that they were aiming for, you actually
sound.
you hear the sound of wood grain on wood grain. So if I had to say like one outstanding feature in this anime, which it is an outstanding anime, it's definitely worth the watch, especially if you're into the slice of life genre. I would have to say though is the sound design, the
sound engineering.
Yeah, sound and engineering, because not just like the shogi tile example, but like in the first episode you see him like. What was it, like 6-7 minutes of no dialogue whatsoever, and it's literally just him leaving his apartment, getting on the train, and going down to the shogi hall for his match.
That's it, but it just keeps you hooked. Another thing, visuals in here, typical Shaft quality, very well directed, a lot of well chosen shots. Like you said, that scene where Rei's just walking, no dialogue whatsoever. Yeah, we kind of poked on it in our reaction to episode 1, but it kept us drawn in, and the whole the series so far is kind of like that. It pulls you in visually.
Well, as we're getting to the, this is the last of the first core, right? What you said about the very long, drawn-out shots, it only happened like 4 or 5 times throughout the first core. I'm not a slice of life guy. That drive me batshit. The art, however, was fantastic. I can't agree with you that that's what stuck me in. What stuck me in was how deep Rei's story was. Because it goes pretty deep for a character that doesn't do a whole lot.
Doesn't do a whole lot. Doesn't say a whole lot, and doesn't express a whole lot.
When he does,
it's the saying it really is true. Still waters run deep.
But yeah, and I think the juxtaposition between the really serious bits, usually with Rei and Shogi, and then the more comedic bits with the Kawamoto sisters are like it blends really well, I think.
And Nikaido.
Oh, and Nikaido.
Basically, everyone who doesn't have like a direct connection to his past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
all in all, I definitely recommend it. It's one of my favorites. I haven't really thought about where I'm placing everything. I suppose I should give that some thought right now while we're talking about them, because we're probably going to, list off our tops at the end of this podcast. But
yeah,
it's one that I would wholeheartedly recommend that you watch.
I would too, definitely.
Even as an action fan, I would. It would be a.
It's just really great melodrama.
Unfortunately, it does. You do have to get used to the drawn out.
Yeah, kind of slow paced moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that does it for Sangatsu Lion. Moving on to Bungo, Stray Dogs.
The
Season
second,
2.
the second half.
Second half.
Bungo Stray Dogs, second season. I assume that it would pick up right at the end of where the first half ended, but it didn't exactly. We had 4 episodes of backstory that were, while they did really illustrate Dazai's backstory, it was actually focused on another character for the most part. And then that character died at the end of the 4-episode arc. And
I was so hoping that they'd bring back Oda as a idea point of like there was dialogue between Dazai and Kyoka for huge drawn amount in the last 2 episodes, right?
mm-hmm.
They should have mentioned Oda right there.
Well, given the information that we were given, of course, the audience knew that Dazai was, speaking of Oda when Kyoka is talking about how she's killed 35 people, and Dazai's like, oh, only 35? And he talks about being able to, like, I guess, turn your back on what you've done and turn over a new leaf and become a good person.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this again because I've reiterated this point a couple times throughout the second season. You didn't need 4 whole episodes to do that.
Yeah, I really agree. I think I would have been okay with 2, but 4 really felt like they were overdoing it a little bit, especially when there's really only like 3 plot points that are kept in the current time from that time.
Mm-hmm.
You have the bit with Oda, which the audience knows that Dazai's talking about him.
Right.
You have the showing Dazai's backstory being in the Port Mafia, and then you have Ongo, and that's really it.
You could have done that with in any other way of showing Dazai's backstory. Flashback scenes here and there. Let's give some mystery to Dazai's backstory because he's a mysterious person after all. Just give us little snippets, give us little clippets of Dazai's backstory here and there.
Right,
that would have been just fine.
Yeah, or if you were going to, make such a big deal about Dazai's past, have, like, say, the struggles of Dazai's past become the conflict of the present. But instead, Jide and Mimic disappear after that arc. Otasaku dies, disappears entirely from that arc. Just all the important parts of those episodes.
And then Ongo only comes back as a very almost unimportant contact.
Yeah.
Some of the things that Dazai was able to do because he had Ongo as a contact were important, but the character overall isn't that important. You could just say, oh, I have a contact in the government, and just leave it at that.
Yeah. 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4 episodes I think is what really did it for me. It's like
I tried, like, I know our comment section was like, shut up about the 4 episodes, but those 4 episodes are actually, as we've finished the series, we're done with it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a detriment. It really is a detriment.
Yeah, it is to this series what Endless 8 was to Haruhi.
No, I disagree.
Well, I mean,
This had more. This was.
All right, well, it didn't repeat itself.
No, well, not only that. This had more to do with the story than that did. I
This
think
was
that's a bad comparison.
This was the Fullbringer arc of Bungo Stray Dogs, because it had a whole bunch of story. It was partially prevalent. It took way longer than it needed to, and it only gave us 3 points to continue on. That came up at the very fucking end of this season. That's it. Literally, that's it.
Damn, I just drew up the Endless 8 comparison because both left a very bad taste in my mouth for a series I've loved up until this point.
Yeah, the only reason why I can think that they did 4 episodes of it was because they were aiming to end the series where they did, which was at the end of the, I guess, guild arc. I don't know what the actual people call the arc in this show, but that's kind of what I think.
Right.
I think they were trying to end it at the end of that arc. However, they, with the material that they had in that arc, they might have come up a little bit short.
Okay.
I still would try to figure a way to stretch it out just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, again, we keep going back to the 4 episodes thing, but you do have to think that even with that, if you don't count the opening and the ending, that's still about an hour and 20 minutes worth of screen time that was dedicated to that arc.
To what almost becomes, a non-factor. Those 3 points you mentioned, most of them aren't really important. They set up important things, but themselves just kind of disappear.
We got tons of characters here, and in the final episode, you like at the end of everything, it actually touches up on specific characters and what they're doing in the future.
Right.
And let's see, I could see about 8, 9 of them. 10 characters that were, very prevalent supporting characters. Like, Gin. Gin was pretty good. Let's see. Lucy. Q. What the hell happened to Q?
Right. So it doesn't explain Q. It doesn't really explain Lucy.
There's a lot of people that didn't really explain. It's just like, they just...
But that also goes back to the fact that this series ended basically partway through the actual story, which is what the story of the manga is. So perhaps it's just they didn't quite get there. However, I do want to talk about the good things of the series, though.
And there are.
I really felt that the last 4 episodes were really strong. Really well done. The fight scenes were incredible.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Better than season 1, I think.
Yeah.
I think that they definitely showed Dazai to be an OP planner.
Yeah. Dazai's really OP.
He is OP.
In fact, Dazai's so OP, he makes Rampo look not OP. And Rampo's fucking OP.
He's OP by design.
Yeah.
But Dazai's just Dazai.
Dazai's just Dazai.
I really don't
Dazai
mind
kinda
OP.
Dazai.
It's just one of those points that people are like, "Oh, he's OP."
Yeah.
I don't really understand, but okay. The only problem that I have with him being OP.
Yeah, well, OP characters can make series boring.
Yeah.
And that's the typical problem.
The only point that it made it became the OP-ness became boring to me was the very last episode, and I made sure to point it out in the discussion and reaction for that episode.
Yeah, well, as far as him being OP as a planner, at the end of the last episode, it really makes it feel as though the struggles of the other characters didn't really matter.
Don't see why. Yeah, I wanted to. That's a really good point. I wanted to focus more on the struggles of, like, say, Atsushi and Kurogawa fighting off against Fitzgerald, if only to maybe to distract me from, Dazai being Dazai.
Yeah, but then you get the point at the end where he's like, oh, well... Or you get the point at the end where he's talking to the other woman that was in control of the snow demon.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's talking to her back in the past, and he basically says, oh, I got a plan to save Kyoka.
So all the events of the last 4 episodes were...
Not the last 4 episodes. That was like the entire second half of the show.
Yeah.
Basically, all those events he had already planned. So I'm sitting there like...
Really?
So what does it matter what the other characters were doing?
Pretty much. They're all just pieces that Dazai has play over.
Yeah, pretty much.
And...
It kind of stains the whole series is that... Just Dazai being Dazai, and that's it.
I mean, it's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, the events that Dazai brings about are awesome, but the fact that it kind of rubs it in our faces, really. Especially during the interrogation of Kyoko's mother figure. I don't think her name was listed, but it just felt like, oh yeah, well he did this too, haha. Especially after that epic final fight. The Kyoko bringing down the drone and making a miraculous escape, but then you just learn that it cheapens the moment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Overall, like Bungo Stray Dogs, just to kind of wrap this up for Bungo Stray Dogs. Overall, I would say that it's very favorable for me. It's a very nice series. I really like the art style. Especially like when they go into chibi mode.
Right.
They go into this like it's not even really chibi. It's like partial chibi,
partially deformed,
and the really thick outlines, really exaggerated features, and that it's supposed to be a comedy bit.
Yeah.
And that's where this series really succeeds. I feel is that what's supposed to be super serious and what's supposed to be funny.
A testament to Bones' animation and the transition between the two, the serious phase and the funny phase of a scene or an episode is very smooth, very well done.
Yeah.
As well.
But yeah, so overall favorably, I would recommend it. However, I can also clearly point out some issues that I had with the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has some issues, but the overall concept is fantastic.
It's like one of those that I can recommend it to you, but don't watch at this point.
Well, actually, I wouldn't even necessarily say don't watch it. It's just I would probably warn somebody about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one of those little caveats that when you bring this anime up, you got to those
it's the elephant in the room. You got to address it.
Yeah, you got to address it because it will mess somebody's viewing pleasure.
It could irritate someone,
yeah.
I think. Anyway, though, still pretty good series, and still recommend it.
Yep.
Now then, on to a series I think all three of us can wholeheartedly recommend: Drifters. From Kota Hirano, and the creator of Hellsing is back with a vengeance. Alt history, high fantasy, just awesome.
This is pretty much everything that I love in an action anime.
Yep. All the things that you
like. I absolutely love alt history. I find the story really fascinating with, basically stealing historical figures in the moments before their death and taking them to another world to kill each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of morbid take on the whole G.I. Joe versus Cobra setup, really, with two clearly defined factions, but yeah, I love it. It is kind of like a grown-up version of the sort of action cartoons from like back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, very grown-up. Blood.
Yeah,
blood.
but then you explosion Kota Hirano's bloodlust, and you just get this piece of awesomeness.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, this is definitely one I'd recommend for any bros in the audience.
It's not the characters here are solid, fantastic. Unlike the original Hellsing, where we followed two really strong vampires and their extremely powerful organization, you more follow three people through the muck of war.
Muck of war. Not so much a fog, a muck.
Yeah.
Or a shit in one episode.
Yeah. I really like how the characters are all have gray morality, let's say. They're like our main characters, they're mostly heroic, but they all have their quirks.
I mean, what they do...
Headhunting ghost.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything they do has a personal motivation behind it of some sort. And then you also see them sort of apprehensive at times. For a variety of reasons. Sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of... fear for their safety and out of fear that their plans are gonna go to shit.
Yeah.
I keep referring to shit. Damn you, Nobunaga. But
yeah, and then you can see a clear difference between the drifters, which are the good guys, and the ends, who are the bad guys. In that the ends seem to be people who died horrific deaths.
Betrayed maybe by their own people.
Yeah, betrayed at the end. And they're all basically insane.
They're insane and hell-bent on revenge, so they just want KFE.
And magically imbued.
Unlike the drifters who died, I guess, honorably, or were victims of subterfuge or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what the criteria would be.
Equally OP.
Well, I think the only real criteria is that one's summoned by Murasaki and the other's summoned by Easy,
and that's about it.
And I think that's what the real difference is. But typically Murasaki summons people who were killed a certain way, and I think Easy typically targets people who were killed in horrific ways. Basically, they're looking for particular types of personalities.
I think Murasaki is you were killed in battle, or you were killed because of battle, something like that.
I thought Nobunaga was assassinated.
Yeah. His would probably be the only one that's a real stretch, because I guess technically they did call that like a battle or a siege or something.
Okay.
But he was basically assassinated. He was ambushed. I'm not sure exactly. I'm just kind of speculating here. So.
Maybe it's motivation, perhaps. Maybe Easy goes after people who want revenge, and maybe Murasaki goes after those who want to go forth and conquer, basically, or just fight and win. Either way, though. Oh my god.
Either way, yeah. This is just
best game of Hero Escape ever.
And looking forward to the second season.
Announced at the very end. Big yes. Yeah, just yes.
Oh yeah, and I want to take just a slight moment out to talk about the English dub.
Ooh, okay.
English dub is done by Funimation, and it is
boom
so good.
I actually saw a clip with Kano, the Zero pilot. Oh my god!
Well, we
nailed it.
Yeah, we watched that episode. Early in the season, we had to rewatch an episode because our footage got corrupted, And when we rewatched it, it had come out on the English dub on Funimation's website. So we were like, well, screw it. Why don't we just react to that? Because if we got to rewatch it, we might as well make it a little bit interesting.
Right.
Change it up.
And as it turns out, it was really damn good.
Absolutely
really damn
nailed it.
Yeah.
So good on you, Funimation. As
I
usual, though, so.
I do enjoy the Japanese dub. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I do gotta say that there are things that you just can't do in Japanese.
Yeah, I think Kota Hirano?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his series really lend themselves well to English, which there are a lot of series that do. For instance, like one of the best examples, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
Sort
that
of
was
sort of like multicultural, world that humanity for real has actually advanced into space.
Yeah.
And you could buy that.
Yeah.
With the look of it all.
Or like a series like
Well, there's one, Hellsing, set in England. For Christ's sake.
Hellsing is a good example. Or Full Metal Alchemist is a really good one in English.
but you just can't do accents. And when you get to hear the accents, when you get to hear those mannerisms that you only find in certain countries and certain languages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you get to actually hear those things that you can't quite get in the Japanese dub, it just makes the whole series shine even better.
I wholeheartedly agree. I have to give the example of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in the English dub. I'm sorry, Japan, but you can't sound like a cowboy.
You can't.
I have to hear. Yeah, it's definitely an American thing.
I will say that it deviates from the manga in terms of what they say, in terms of what some of what they say. There's definitely some added dialogue to catch up on space or whatever, what have you. But it fits. It fits so well. That's pretty much it.
As far as the accents thing that you were talking about, a lot of times in the Japanese audio, they don't even attempt because it sounds really weird and it's really hard to understand anyway.
Yeah, so they just kind of stick with like a gruff male role.
Yeah, well, they'll stick with typically standard Japanese. Yeah, like what do they call it? Basically, what the type that they speak in Tokyo.
It'd just be very interesting to hear a Russian Japanese.
When I was studying Japanese in college, I remember there was a video that my teacher had us watch, and it was a Australian guy who made a video to teaching some Japanese stuff. Oh my god,
That bad?
oh, it's horrendous.
I'll say, I mean, obviously this I guess language accent disconnect. It can sometimes it's a two-way street because karaoke. I'll just leave it at that.
But yes, so
That hurt me to say.
as DK alluded to, Drifters, highly recommend it. Just thinking about it, like while we're going through, it is easily my number one.
Easily.
Period. Dot.
Yeah.
Just be aware of the Akira Kurosawa levels of gore. And there you have it.
Yep.
Pretty much.
So, next up we had Flip Flappers.
Probably one of the
Your mind
most catchy endings ever.
That's pretty catchy, yeah. I actually really like the opening as well.
I like the opening. I'm not a huge fan of the ending. Which is almost opposite of the actual anime itself. I really, really fucking hated like the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, it took a while to really get into stride. It just seemed like a total mindfuck for the first couple episodes.
Basically, right up until the horror episode, I fucking hated that series.
That's where it turned around, though.
I really felt that it turned around on the horror episode. The horror episode was good. The following episode was pretty good.
Yeah,
and then it started rolling into the end.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was like with the horror episode. What was it, episode 4?
No, it was later than that.
A little later.
I can't remember what episode it was. It was like 6.
But yeah,
7,
but it was at that point where the episodicness started to make sense.
Mm.
And you start to get a grasp on what pure illusion actually is.
And here's the disagreement.
There are 2 types of people here.
Yes.
2 types of people.
Well, yeah, I should state right out that I really don't like the surreal anime where they don't have a point. Like, that's just not my type of series.
Maybe that was it for you then. It started to get a point with.
When it started to get a point and the surrealness started to make a little bit of sense into why it was doing what it was doing, then I started to like it a little bit more.
I mean, I am very glad that we continued with this series. It is definitely a highlight of my year.
Yeah, I would actually agree. I'm glad that we continued with it.
I agree.
Because I did like the ending.
The first 5 episodes, in contrast with these guys, I loved.
Well, I mean, on the technical front all the way through, I mean, it's very beautifully animated.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
And
Hertz did a fantastic job.
Yeah, if you just take it like episode by episode, just enjoy this like weird sort of trippy dreamscape. I mean, it's really great for that.
For me, when it started getting into a really deep plot, and you got less of that episodicness and that less of that bits of comedy and stuff like that, it started becoming less enjoyable for me. Because I enjoyed that episodicness. I didn't want a really dark and
yeah, but it's like, it also got
deep.
really gritty, more based in reality. Like you're coming down off a high.
There's
or
2
something.
types of people in this world.
I like the fun and bubbly. Take me back.
Yeah, a couple of magic girls and a perverted robot.
Yeah.
And Hulk Bunny.
Well, since we're on this series, I do have to mention once again, I've mentioned it many times on this channel, I am really not a fan of the Yuri setup. It's just, it doesn't interest me at all.
Didn't really catch as many, I guess, Yuri vibes. More like sort of like petty competition for like, oh, I'm conquering his friend and stuff like that between Yayaka and Paprika. But yeah,
I got way too many Yuri vibes.
It's not.
I love you, love you.
It's not. I didn't think that it was as bad as some of the things I've seen.
No,
we'll
it's
get to
definitely
that.
not as bad as some of the ones I've seen.
yeah.
If it was as bad as some of the ones, even some of the ones that we've watched on this channel, like say Pandora of the Crimson Shell, I probably would have just straight up stopped watching it. Like, I would have walked off and let you guys do a 2-person reaction. Like episode 4.
That would have been too boring.
Yeah, then you wouldn't have been able to see me suffer through episode 4 and episode 5.
Exactly.
But thankfully it didn't go quite that far. I'm just really not a fan of that setup. So,
It is used quite a lot.
yeah, you typically see at least 1 or 2 of them a season.
But yeah, I mean, warning, it is definitely, I mean, despite what the synopsis says, it's definitely not your standard Magic Girl series. Not one iota.
No, not 1 iota.
So,
I wouldn't classify this as that at all. Like, even though they do have the transformation and they basically use magic or whatever.
It's not really what it's about.
No.
I would replace those tags with fantasy, surreal comedy.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd put sci-fi in there too.
Yeah, they have sci-fi. I would put psychological in there.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you learn that pure illusion is just a manifestation of the mind.
Yeah, it's basically a person's subconscious.
Yeah. And a lot of times, that's not a pretty place to be.
Most of the time, yeah.
So,
It's pretty weird.
yeah.
But could you recommend this?
With an extreme caveat. I would have to explain to the person exactly what they're about to get into. Because this is definitely not for everybody. And even if somebody explained to me that, yeah, the first several episodes are like this, but then it does this and starts, getting a really good plot line, I would probably still not watch it.
Yeah, I would. It does take a certain person to enjoy this fully. Zero, if I run across someone like you, I would recommend it to them wholeheartedly.
Actually,
there's no one like him.
I'd have to agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
I am a weirdo.
Well, not a weirdo per se. I mean, you are, but not stating the obvious. I don't know. It's just a certain type of person.
Yeah, it takes a certain degree of crazy.
No, they have to have. Well, I wouldn't call it like crazy. They just have to have that little like X factor that would allow them to fully enjoy and comprehend the series as a whole, not just like one part like we kind of do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I could recommend it to certain someone's.
Yeah.
In good faith.
It's good. Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag for me, to be honest. Let me just scroll through real quick. Yeah, out of the ones that we're watching, it was probably my least favorite. But we're not watching a great number of shows this season, so that's kind of. It's a very short.
Yeah, there's only so many, and there has to be a top and a bottom.
Yeah, so.
But yeah,
I'd recommend it to anybody.
You recommend
it's like Fully Cooley. You gotta watch it. You got to experience it. End of story.
Okay. And just note the evil laughter that comes with that recommendation.
Right.
All right.
On with our list, though. Off to Girlish number.
Oh, they changed the spelling on the listing, I see. In the title card, it's Girlish number.
Yeah.
Is this,
so,
yeah, I'm sorry. It was supposed to be like pronounced one of two ways, like girlish or maybe garish, if you ignore the I.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But, so Girlish
then.
Number is an original anime that was written by Wataru Watari of Origairu fame. And it is about a group of voice actresses.
Yeah.
Period.
Period dot.
So, one of the things that immediately jumps out at me about this series is the dialogue, the characters, and their interactions with each other.
So toxic.
Classic Watari.
I mean, it starts off really toxic, but at the end of the series, it's a nice tight. Well, I wouldn't say tight knit, but it's at least a fair bit a group.
The characters form, almost like that friends family type thing. Where you're a really close knit group of friends, so you're almost like a family. And yeah, some family members might be a little fucked up, but
they can get on your nerves, and
at the end of the day, you still love them.
I'm envisioning two of them in our own circle.
Well,
I wonder who.
Well, yeah. So, like at the end of this one, even like Kuzu, who is the least likable character in the entire show, he still finds his place, and somehow turns it around in like the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, and becomes less of a jerk ass.
Yeah,
just more of an ass.
Yeah,
but one you don't want to strangle.
He's still Kuzu.
He's still trash, yes. But you say that with a slight grin on your face at the end, not just like, oh, he's trash, fuck him. But
yeah.
That's kind of how it is. It's like, you say, you look at Chitose, he's like, oh, this bitch.
Yeah.
And then later on, you're like, oh, this bitch. You know, with that little bit of snark added to it all.
Yeah, and then the big thing, we mentioned it so many times during the reactions, the characters are just so real. Like, everybody knows that person who you can tell that in the back of their mind, and maybe you, who knows. Yeah. But I know it's certainly me. But that person in the back of their mind where they may not say something, but you can tell that they snarked. You can tell that they snarked in the back of their mind. And that's Chitose.
I know I'm a Chitose.
Yeah. That's basically the only way that I get through work. Everybody thinks I'm friendly at work, but I'm not. I just keep it to myself.
Remember our bosses watch.
It's okay, I like you.
Really?
You're one of the few. But yeah, and then that also extends to other characters too.
Oh yeah.
I feel that pretty much all the characters are pretty real.
Momoka is definitely my favorite character, one of my favorite characters of the season. And I did mention that a while back. Definitely one of my favorites.
A shame that I actually didn't do more with her throughout the series. Actually, I get her more involved with, say, more involved with Chitose, or follow her a little bit more.
Or have her own, a little bit more of her own stuff. But they did plenty.
Yeah, I felt that they did. They did plenty of character development.
That's true. You do have to keep it balanced, especially with a pretty decently sized cast.
Yeah.
5 main characters you follow. Pretty much.
I felt the only two that probably didn't receive enough character development was Koto and Yai.
Well, Yai's kind of the butt monkey, though, so you can't really expect that. Yeah,
Yai's that character that's just too cheerful for her own good.
She does have her moment, though.
Well, she has a black heart, as they say.
Yeah. Well, every dog has their day, though, in this anime.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite bit of character development, as I mentioned before, was Namba, the senior producer.
Yeah.
And maybe not just development, but he just takes the cheery mask off eventually. He's like, get results.
Yeah.
And it's just so stark, but just...
It's so sudden!
It's so sudden, but you remember, I'm like, he's an entertainment executive. That's true to life.
So is that Gap Moe?
Not really.
It's definitely that gap that makes you like it.
Between person. Well, I wouldn't call it Moe because that'd be creepy.
That's
there we go. We need Namba figurines to go with the waifu. We'll win. But oh god, just the visions of the Namba merchandise going through my head is. Change the subject. Okay.
By the way, if you really like us, go ahead and send DK a Namba hug pillow.
Namba Dr. Makara.
Namba bobblehead.
I'm thinking that would be awesome. Actually, do that, and then actually it plays the sound. Then you need a Kuzu and a Chitose one to go right next to each other. I would be into that. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Send me the hug pill and I'll strangle you with the sheet.
But main question. Recommendations.
Wholeheartedly without a caveat.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. Even Mr. Action Series over here liked it.
Even though Mr. Not really into like idol sort of series, this is not your typical like idol series at all.
I wouldn't
even consider it close to one.
Like,
I mean, according to our listing here, it's just slice of life, and that's
which is exactly what it is.
But it does actually portray idolism.
Yeah, the sort of the throes of the Japanese entertainment juggernaut, really.
Because Chitose does she wants to become really popular.
Yeah, so she does it all.
At a certain point, Kuzu does attempt to idolize them.
Bikini photo shoots.
And a lot of PV work, a lot of promotional events and stuff like that, where they have to sing and dance.
Yeah, it just kind of shows the grind. I guess if anything, it'd be like a workplace Melodrama?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically, like, it just says slice of life. I would probably add a drama tag to it, because it does get pretty dramatic, especially towards the end.
Towards the end, yeah.
With Chitose realizing that she fucking sucks.
Well, Chitose and Kuzu both kind of...
Why are you staring at me?
No, I'm just staring in this direction. Why do you think I'm staring at you? Feeling guilty?
I'll kill you.
Sorry, what were you saying,
For
DK?
the love. I actually forgot because that was so funny.
But yeah,
But yeah, all right. But I'm sorry, I remember.
ahead.
But yeah, that it does get a little dramatic, especially at the end with both Chitose and Kuzu kind of at rock bottom. But you know, like a lot of conflicts, they eventually get resolved in their own way. I was actually expecting like a much less cheery ending, sort of a more gritty, real kind of ending with maybe Chitose sort of realizing like, okay, maybe I can just scrape through, or and does enough to do so. But it turns out all right in the end.
Yep.
So I guess it can almost qualify as a happy ending.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Which is almost surprising for a Wataru series.
Right, they're usually kind of bittersweet. Adventure continues, maybe, or life goes on. Maybe to be more accurate with that.
Well, I'd probably put this in that category too. It's just life goes on in a good way,
or in a not so sucky way.
Yeah.
But yes, totally recommended.
Yeah. So next we have, ready guys?
Yeah. Keijo! Rep the brand. I don't even have to say anything really.
By the way, in case you're wondering what this says, so underneath it has before Keijo with a brain, after Keijo with an ass. Any question?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So, Keijo is...
Truly our guilty pleasure, or one of our guilty pleasures of this season. I mean, we're not really expecting anything profound or deep at all.
You
Just
know...
booty.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the season, we were watching it just because, it's an ecchi series. And we were like, ecchi.
Yeah, good
and then
reactions out of
it
this.
turned out to be a really solid sports anime.
It's an extremely solid sports anime all the way up until the end.
Yeah.
Because at the end, it gets more of a shonen tag to it. Shonen Jump tag.
Well, I mean, yeah, it kind of had that feeling all the way through too. There's some things that you're going, okay,
Yeah.
you say so.
Kind of.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those shonen type sports anime where people have like weird ass abilities that normal humans wouldn't have. Like, for instance,
boob hypnosis.
well, there's that. I was thinking more, what's her name? Saya?
Maya.
Sayakaya or Maya Kaya? I can't remember.
It.
So there's two characters, and then one has a split personality, and basically all three of those characters have a really similar sounding name, and they introduced them basically all at the same time.
Yes.
So
According to this, Saya is the boob EI expert.
Okay.
Because I see her face there. So Kaya and Maya.
So Kaya and Maya, their ability is fucking bullshit.
Sudden hair color change. So yeah, Dragon Ball
okay,
Z.
not even that. It's basically they make contact with something, and like I don't know if the muscles under the skin start vibrating so quickly that it basically shoots it off. I'm not exactly sure what that was, but
Well, she says it's a Qigong, right?
Yep.
So really, it's like an invisible energy, because, like I said, straight out of Dragon Ball Z.
It's out of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Qigong is the Chinese word for key. So
yeah. So that would totally be allowed in a professional sport.
Nope, not at all.
Unless every competitor were using it, it would probably not be allowed in the sport.
But that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
It's our guilty pleasure.
Yeah, then you get other ridiculous attacks like that one character was huge, but the Attack on Titan.
But Attack on Titan. I would say not just attacks, but characters. as well.
It's a parody of itself. Like, seriously, it's a sports anime that is a parody of
the genre. The shonen genre, the sports genre.
Yeah, the sports and the shonen genres.
It's here to do two things: be funny and be pervy, and it does both particularly well.
And then it gives you a great sports story.
There's the cherry on top. Okay, well, pretty solid.
The only caveat to this is it's missing some information on Nozomi.
Yeah, adaptation. They chopped it up.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to say it's the worst part of the anime, but it is something that you have to understand when you go to watch it. Is that they skipped over Nozomi's last year of high school.
So we're still over at LiveChart. We're still over at LiveChart, and we have the card for Keijo up, right? It actually says Nozomi is 17 and is an exceptional gymnast. At the start of the show, she's 18. Period.
Whole year of her life.
Yeah, basically everything that's in this little synopsis that they gave us over at livechart.me is what's told at the very beginning of the manga. But when the anime starts, you don't get any of that. Basically, when the anime starts, Nozomi is a full-fledged character that you're supposed to know all this shit about. And actually the same with Miyata, too. Because Miyata was introduced in the early parts of the manga. So most of the stuff about Miyata you're already supposed to understand. And so it really failed to I guess basically insert those character traits, those character developments into the product that they presented.
Yeah, it failed to portray Nozomi's motivation for going into Keijo, period.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest problem with what they did is that because they never did that, it sounds as though Nozomi is literally just a gold digger. Which, don't get me wrong, she kind of is, but it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
She actually has reason to why she wants so much money.
Yeah, her perception of money is rationalized in the manga. It's not at all rationalized. So that definitely changes. It could change one's opinion of her really quickly. So.
Yep.
Yeah, basically, in this, it sounds like she wants to be rich to be rich. In the manga, she wants to be rich to support her family.
So which she wouldn't be able to do. Which she wouldn't be able to do being a gymnast.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally changes the depth of the story.
Totally. And once you actually understand those little backstory
maybe
points,
not like this, more like this, but
actually, it's more the previous.
Yeah, I feel that it's really major for that character.
If it wasn't for the fact that I knew that background from Nozomi, I would have probably not liked this series as much. Because Nozomi talking about money all the time was taking me off a little, just a little bit.
Just a touch.
But that being said, I do not understand how Ange Verge can be so highly regarded. And this is not. What is wrong with you, Japan? I don't want to be mean about it, but this anime is awesome. What is wrong? What is wrong with this series?
Yeah, I really don't understand it either.
There's so much wrong with Ange Verge. We could not complete it.
Yeah, we dropped it basically partway through episode 2.
We dropped it after episode 1, and then we did one more reaction where we ripped it apart in episode 2.
As a copyright joke.
Yeah.
Joke / protest thing.
This is not your typical pervy show. This, honestly, is how you should do ecchi.
This is one of the ways that you should do ecchi.
It's a good way to do ecchi.
It's a great way to do ecchi. It wasn't.
It's better than just having your character stand around in a bath for, an entire episode.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of takes that and makes it what the story's about. So, I mean, whereas Aaron's version was supposed to be like, what? Sort of like Combat Magic High School kind of situation. But you don't really get that. You just get a long bath scene.
All I can hope for is that they actually understand that this deserves a second season.
I'd watch the second season.
I would. They didn't exactly do a fantastic job trying to set up for a second season, though, I don't think. I mean, yeah, the potential's there with Nozomi and company going into the pro ranks.
Well,
but...
in the manga, from what I understand, I haven't read that far yet, but basically there's the high school arc, then there's the academy arc, and then there's the pro arc. So there is an arc after Nozomi goes pro, which is where this leaves off. So I felt that it did an okay job setting that up. The only other thing that I might have to talk about, with it is the predictableness, but you get that in every shonen show.
Especially every sports show.
Or anything involving a competition of some sort.
The bit that jumps out at me, and yes, of course, I have to mention this because Alba is awesome.
Alba.
Yeah, basically, every time that they have a competition, I can't say that the main four are split up, but in one competition, the main four are split up, and the other one, they're split up like 1, 2, and then 1. And, of course, Nozomi is always going to be last because you have to make that arc about the main character.
Right.
But, I don't know, I just felt that, they put in, like, the first one, I think it was a win-win and then a tough loss. And then the second one, it was a win and then a tough loss. I felt that it would have been better if they put the loss somewhere else. But then again, having the loss there makes it a little bit more of a, I guess, must-win situation or more of a high-stakes situation for Nozomi. I don't know. I felt that they could have mixed it up a little bit more to make it less predictable there.
Yeah, basically, Alba was fighting.
Yeah, it ended up being just because of, I guess, how it worked out, that if you saw Alba fighting, she was going to lose.
Despite how awesome she is.
Yeah, despite how awesome she is. And honestly, she's more OP than any of the other 3 main characters.
Well, literally, she knows everyone's techniques.
Yeah.
Gates of Booty Lawn.
Now, granted,
epic reference.
So I have called out a lot of techniques in that show about being bullshit.
Right.
That one is bullshit.
I'll
freely admit that.
Well, that's the thing, though. A good load of them are bullshit. And I said before, you shouldn't expect anything deep and profound and really true to life with this series. It's there to be funny. It's there to be pervy. And it does it wonderful.
Pretty much.
Yep. But yes, I wholeheartedly recommend this show. Obviously the only thing is that I would be wary of who I recommend it to, because there are some people that are like, oh my god, there's boobs in the show.
Yeah.
Nope. I am going to hold nothing back with this one. Keijo is a family-friendly, amazing TV show that everybody should watch.
Wholesome entertainment. Watch it with the kids.
Do it.
Miata ripping her bottoms.
Do it.
Several characters flashing.
Watch it with
their
your
boobs.
grandma.
Do it.
Watch it with your pastor.
Everybody's gonna get a kick out of it.
Damn right.
No, I think most people would get a kick out of it as long as they don't have a stick up their ass.
Yeah.
And if they have a stick up their ass, then tie them down and force them. Maybe that would get their stick out of their ass.
Anyway, next up we have the second season of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Or, let's see here, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah. So, the second season, I feel, is a little bit
Disjointed.
It's definitely not as good as the first season.
No, the action is definitely cooled down. Well, it's kind of picked up again with the introduction of mobile armors in the last couple of episodes, but for a good load of the second season, the action's sort of quieted down in comparison to the first, and it's focused more on Tekadon kind of growing as a mafia front, I think.
Yeah,
And then at the very end, you get the actual bad guy.
Most of the early part of this one is, I guess, posturing.
Yeah.
Like it's setting up. It's setting up Russell as the main villain, and then all of his little minions underneath him. It's setting up Tekadon as being a real, force
to be reckoned with on Mars, and also a threat to some members of Tewas.
Yeah.
Who start to move and conspire against Tekadon.
Yeah, and then also setting up the I guess treaty between McGillis's section of Gallahorn and Tekadon. Having them work together. So far, from what I can tell, the early part of the season is mostly about setup. So I'm expecting the second half of the season to be just really just badass.
And like I said, when they introduced the mobile armors into the mix, the action just ratcheted up in comparison to most of the other episodes so far. So I think it's going to continue in that direction.
I certainly hope so.
Okay, this one's continuing on next season, and yeah, we're gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
And it's a Gundam series. For me, there's only a few Gundam series that I can't recommend. This is not one of them.
Which ones would those be, by the way?
SD.
SD, okay.
I didn't like Seed or Destiny.
I hear pitchforks being sharpened in the distance.
Pitchfork all you want.
Seed was like pretty hyped, but yeah.
Actually, one bit that I wanted to talk about that I really actually like is at the end of the first season. Basically, Mikazuki, has them remove the restraints from the. I cannot ever remember the name of it. I remember the first word starts with an A, the second word starts with a V.
Say it, you want to.
And I always call it the Elena Vagina system. But the spikes on his back, basically, they take off the limits on that. And he pushes himself so hard that he starts fusing with Barbados. And when he's not in Barbados, he can't use his right hand.
Yeah, it's like he suffered a stroke, basically.
Basically. But I really liked in this season how instead of bitching out on that and having some bullshit, they stuck with it. So he is a cripple, basically.
He's a cripple and gives no fucks.
He's a cripple, gives no fucks. He hides a gun in his sling.
Along with a bunch of dates.
Because
the boy's got to eat still.
And, then he'll jump in his Gundam. It connects into his system, and then he, has the ability to move again.
He's at 100%.
Yeah, because he is basically fused with Barbados at this point.
It is amazing how they did that.
Yeah.
And just the sheer grit. And I think that's why I didn't really get a lot into the sort of late 2000s series like Seed and Destiny. It kind of missed that. The sort of like, well, with a lot of the original Gundam series, you get that kind of grinding on as you go through a very long war. You know, you see people close to you bite the dust. You know, you get wounded. I mean, you sort of see war just as it is. And I think that some of the series didn't quite capture that point of view as well as Iron-Blooded Orphans is.
Yeah. Wing was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes almost down that route where it's more following just their life through war.
If I had to compare Iron-Blooded Orphans to another Gundam series, I'd probably say it's more like the 8th MS team than Gundam Wing. Mainly because a lot of the tactics they try to employ, you could almost buy being in real life.
Yeah.
And that's basically the reason why I like Iron-Blooded Orphans so much, is because it is so real.
Yeah.
And gritty.
Yeah, or at least you think it could be real.
That's what I like in Mecha series, though. So that's part of the reason why I'm not a Gundam fan, is because the past examples I've had of it, I just don't get that.
Is the more fantastical kind of, again, like your Seeds, Destinies, Turnays, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Whereas you need your OFMS teams, 0080, 0083, I think you'd love, stuff like that.
Yeah. So
For me personally, this fits right in the middle between those hardcore military ones, versus those hardcore fantasy ones like Seed and Destiny. Gundam Build Fighters is a completely different ballgame that I don't really want to get into in this equation.
Agreed. It's more of a spin-off, I think.
I don't.
It's out there with SD Gundam, I think.
However, it did a much better job.
Agreed.
Much better job. I can recommend Gundam Build Fighters. I can't recommend Seed and Destiny. Anyway.
Anyway, moving on though.
That in between where fantasy meets that really gritty, where you have Wing. I enjoyed G Gundam, but I'm the odd opinion on that one. And then
I like the concept of some parts of the execution.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Just actually, no. The mecha design was the big knock.
Yeah.
But you can laugh at it and still appreciate it.
And the Gundam 00, you had those are my favorites.
00 was good.
But it's really that in between, that valley in between those two.
Sort of golden median for a Gundam series. Yeah. Okay, I can buy that. Definitely.
So as far as recommending this, I would have to say I wholeheartedly recommend the first season. If you like the first season, you'll probably at least somewhat enjoy this. It's not quite as good, but it's basically, hey, you get more adventures with these characters.
It's a good continuation.
Yeah, it definitely is not a detriment to the series.
Yeah,
I think that we should hold our perfect judgment until we have finished the series, because as you stated, this scene, especially in the last couple episodes where we get introduced to the mobile armor, it's this whole season so far has been set up.
That's another new thing too. The mobile armors being like autonomous killing machines, a Gundam concept entirely foreign to me, unless I missed something along the lines there.
But
so nice big bad to have.
All the new characters, all the new not abilities. What's the word I'm looking for? Not supplies, not abilities. The shit that Tekadon has. You get like
equipment.
Yeah. Lamest terms, but yes. you get to see all of what Tekadon has on the table,
Okay, so it's not just like in Wing, you just get like the 5 main Gundams, and then later on like Vane, Mercurius, but you get a sort of you kind of run a gamut of different mecha and how they're used, perhaps.
Yeah.
Different tactics.
But this entire season has been a showcase of all of Tekadon's junk, stuff, equipment. I don't know a better term for it.
You know,
assets.
Assets, thank you.
Another thing about this season is that there's actually a less focus on Mikazuki.
That is true. It definitely seems more about Tekadon as a whole unit.
Mm-hmm.
Or
You get things with Ride. You get things with
Had Tamaki. And,
I'd say you get a nice little arc with Tamaki and Chad.
Yeah. So
yeah, a little war on Earth.
yeah. Anyway, I think we've talked about Gundam enough.
Yeah,
way
gushing
too
over it.
much.
Like we do have a lot of things.
Yeah. So, next up, we had Maho Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, or the Magical Girl Raising Project.
Or as it's been on our channel, Magical Rumble Pwn.
Yeah, just throw off the copyright hands.
Another dark magical girl series. And to be honest, this is my favorite dark magical girl series that I've ever watched.
I think that this blows Madoka out of the water.
Yeah. I absolutely agree, but I'm also definitely not. I definitely don't like the artsy stuff in Monica.
About to say, yeah. I mean, this
that's
is
why
more.
I didn't have as much enjoyment for that series.
Yeah, this is a dark magical girl series more in line with what we like, I think. Which is little girls blowing each other's heads off. But,
Well, this has a lot of action.
yeah,
for one.
Damn mutt.
a little less conversation, a little more action.
Pretty much. I mean, the only detriment I would say for this anime is, like in the light novel, the deaths are kind of brushed under, so to speak.
I really feel like it like as far as the deaths go, I only really felt impact for like 3 of them, maybe. Out of what? 14 of them died. So 11 of them I really didn't give a crap about. Because I felt something for Nemrine's death. She was the first.
Yeah, that was horrifying.
It was really horrifying just because of how real it was, especially with her mother coming in and discovering her corpse.
Yeah.
And then the actually the death of Sister Nana, just because it was so real.
You just see her just sink and just keep sinking. It is like a ship sinking. You know it's gonna hit the bottom eventually and disappear. But
Yeah,
it's
well,
it's
and
horrible to
then,
watch.
and then when she hangs herself, and you even see the loss of bladder control,
Ugh.
of death.
Just that one little detail, just to really drive it home.
Yeah. And then probably the other one would have been Tama, but that's just because her life was entirely just fucked up.
Yeah.
I'd also add Alice.
Alice, yeah, probably. I think mostly with that death, I was just angry at the at Swim Swim's group because they used such underhanded tactics. But I guess I did feel for her because it's like, well, you're kind of stuck in a shitty place with that.
Yeah. But the action deaths, I guess you'd say.
Oh yeah, especially I have to mention this: Tama taking out Cranberry.
That was like the best. That one was
awesome.
like
Well,
the best.
It literally had us cheering.
That
it
one
was awesome.
That one was fine. That one was fantastic. But the deaths that I'm referring to are the action sequences with like La Pusilla, which was literally like shoved under the rug. I'm not even gonna mention it. I'm not gonna show it. I'm not gonna mention it. I'm not even gonna. I'm just gonna pretend that it didn't happen.
He just died in a traffic accident.
Well, yeah, I mean, it showed La Pucella fighting with Cranberry, and then next thing you know, they're like, I don't know, 30 miles away up in the mountains, and he's not transformed, and he stumbles onto a road and dies.
What?
And then the very next scene is Koyuki remembering his funeral. Not even Koyuki at his funeral.
Just remembering it.
Koyuki remembering his funeral and crying.
That was disrespectful.
Yeah,
Maybe
I really
that's-
felt that the character deserved more. And
Way
I can,
more.
I can even honestly say that with a lot of the other characters
Ruler?
too. Ruler,
definitely.
I didn't. I liked how she died, like how she was betrayed by Swim and the rest of her group.
Yeah, some betrayal that
But
that fits her.
it basically went, okay, let's announce who has the least amount of candies. The one with the least amount of candies is Ruler Pone. And then you see a momentary look of shock, and then it cuts, and the next scene she's untransformed and lying in a pool of blood. What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Right? Did she like explode, or did the rest of her group?
No,
turn
I
on
think
her,
I think
or-
the rest of her group turned on her, probably because she was about to turn on the rest of her group.
Details.
But-
Come on.
I would want those details, and it would honestly only take maybe another 2 minutes.
If that, yeah.
Because if, with her powers especially, if the other members of her group were determined to kill her,
It would take
Then-
like maybe 20 more seconds. She untransforms, they loom in on her, and that's all the visual information. you
well,
need.
she wouldn't untransform because she wouldn't run out of magical girl power until midnight. But with her powers, all that she could do was hold one person in place.
Yeah.
And
So-
then all the other ones would just convene on her and kill her.
Yeah, so you just show them moving in, and then
I understand that that's what happened, but I really wish that they would have showed it.
yeah, just a few more seconds here and there. Or with La Pucella, how do you go from neighborhood to country road? It just cut right to it.
Or not even neighborhood. How do you go from the industrial area at the docks
Yeah.
all the way up into the mountains?
Yeah, it literally cuts to it, and that's not Cranberry's power either.
Yeah, it basically alludes to a really awesome fight, and then
That we totally did not see.
Totally
and then
didn't see
just it basically goes, oh yeah, it was a really good fight, but here's how he died.
Same thing with Winter Prison and which one died first?
The bottom one, or
Yuna?
Yuna died first. Basically, Winter Prison and the Peaky Angel that she killed.
Yeah.
Squish.
That could have been drawn out just a little bit. Let us get some action. Come on.
Actually, I just kind of had a thought here. Maybe like all this, sort of like disrespect for the characters and kind of how they died. What if the story itself is a character you're supposed to hate? Just the way it just seems set up. I don't know. It really sets itself up that way. That you're supposed to be like, you want to get mad at the writer.
Yeah.
It just seems a little
I
too
don't know.
blatant
I don't know.
Now, as far as satisfying deaths go, actually, I was really satisfied with Magicaloid's death. I
Yeah.
thought that was just like perfect for her
If
character,
it.
especially after it showed her backstory of when she became Magicaloid, and she's just like, "Oh, what's this?"
Huh, what's this?
And then when she dies, she gets a fish shoved through her chest, and she goes,
Huh,
"Oh, what's this?" You know, it was short.
morbidly funny.
It was short, but it was definitely morbidly funny, and I felt that it really fit her character. And then the death of Calamity Mary, that one was really satisfying because she was such a fucking bitch.
Yeah, I mean, alcoholic,
abusive mother, abusive wife.
Yeah.
She literally starts killing people randomly to draw out her targets. She deserved what she got.
Shuriken to the face.
Yeah. And then the death of Cranberry was just
Tama.
it was just too good.
Amazing.
You
You damn mutt.
Didn't even see it coming. Just Tama just
It just
barely
one nail.
scratches her, and then whoom.
But
If Tama wasn't such an underpowered person, she would be really overpowered in some of those fights. Because literally all she has to do is get one scratch on the person.
That's
and they're
it.
dead.
Yep.
But, and then the last really satisfying death was Fav.
That
little fucking bastard.
I mean, all right, just that whole scene where you Fav's like trying to talk his way, trying to weasel his way out of it, and then you hear his thoughts through Snow White's abilities. Especially after all this shit he's pulled. That's poetic justice.
Yeah.
And most satisfying to watch. I don't know where to rank like all time, but that's definitely one of the most satisfying deaths I've seen in an anime.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that the most satisfying death I've ever seen is Cranberries.
That was
fucking satisfying.
Yeah.
That was immensely satisfying.
It was Tama of all people.
However,
Fuck yeah, Tama.
I think probably enough talking about this series.
Yeah, enough talking about Tama.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
Yes.
Yes. If you like Madoka Magica, I would recommend this.
Oh, if you like action, if you like magical girls, if you like any sort of
Yeah, if you like Madoka Magica or damn it, Battle Royale. I know, right? But yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I would definitely recommend that series.
I'd recommend this over Madoka Magica.
I would too, to be
I would.
honest.
I would honestly say you should watch this one, and if you like this one,
Then
you
watch
should
Madoka.
watch this one.
Yeah.
That's what I would honestly say.
Sort of ease into the weirdness.
Yeah.
Speaking of
weirdness.
I would have to say that this is my number one, like, out of nowhere shock for the season. How good it was.
It is a series definitely more up my alley, and I was still shocked by how much I enjoyed it. Nanbaka.
Nanbaka.
Oh, yes. Satellite action comedy drama
Now,
set in the most fabulous prison on earth.
a lot of the comedy is like the parody type comedy, which I do really enjoy, but I think can kind of get annoying after a while. But it never really gets annoying. They're not like reusing gags for the parodies or anything like that. So, like, it's a parody comedy, but somehow it stays fresh, which not a lot of parody comedy do.
I think it's more sort of like madcap, sort of physical comedy, sort of slapstick. Very much reminds me of the Three Stooges, and with that, you can kind of create
The Four Stooges.
The Four Stooges, really, yeah. They got updated. Well, actually, most everyone except Hajime is a stooge.
Well, it's actually like it's the Three Stooges plus an OP guy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Plus an OP camera guy. There we go. Because that's almost what Jugo becomes for the majority of the season. For the majority of the series, he's a very quiet guy. Yeah, he has character, but he's very quiet. He's in the corner. You kind of see things more or less through his eyes the majority of the time.
Okay.
And you get to see.
Either for viewer projection.
Yeah, you get to see the reaction. You get to see the interactions of the other three people, mostly.
Or when he gets knocked around by Hajime.
Yeah.
But then, much later though, we get a very, very dark and action-packed backstory with Jugo and some of the other inmates of Namba Prison. And kind of shocked me a little bit at first that they go that way.
Actually, it's not even that it shows up later, because it shows up in the very first episode. They plant the seeds for it. So being as dark as it is and as serious as it is, it doesn't really feel for me like it comes out of nowhere, because I knew that they had already planted the seeds for it. So it's not like, oh, hey, it's a madcap comedy, and then suddenly it's like, okay, we're done with that. Now we want to do super serious. It always had that hanging in the background, but it really starts coming out in, like, I don't know, the last like 6 episodes or so.
Okay.
It gets really dark.
It does get really, really dark.
Really dark. It's like the comedy disappears for a good load of the latter half. So much so that they actually, they break the fourth wall with a gag saying that, the comedy will be back next week.
Or, they'll start a recap, and then the guys, breaks in and goes, "Hey, aren't you tired of all this heavy stuff?" And then the other three from Cell 13 come in and go, "Yeah!" And then they have a comedy episode. So
that could be a bit I can imagine how that could be a bit jarring for some viewers, but both elements are quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now this one, we actually just watched the last episode for it, or what I thought was the last episode, and then we've come to find out that it's actually continuing this season, which we didn't know about, which even our freaking chart site that we go to doesn't know about.
And you guys didn't warn us about.
And basically it's going from airing on TV to being a web
series.
Yeah, web-based series. But it's continuing for a second core this season. So, from what I've seen so far, I would probably recommend it with an extreme caveat, because it is. I know a lot of people don't like that kind of comedy, and I know that the campiness will turn a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I also had to put a caveat in there that it is polarizing. It is very polarizing between comedy and dead fucking serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just like you could take say a shot of Jugo in the
Underground cell.
Yeah, in the underground cell in the I forgot the term. The solitary confinement cell, and a normal sort of actually the promo art we're looking at here. Night and day. So yeah, that is going to be jarring, but both elements really are captivating enough to make it worth watching. And personally, I do enjoy those sort of darker action elements, and I think they're going to be exploring those more in the second core. But the comedy, though, if you just focus on, oh my god, absolutely hysterical.
I'm gonna miss the comedy.
Yeah, very much so.
Because it's probably getting darker. So,
I mean, maybe it'll come back now and then. I really hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you've seen our reactions, I mean, a lot of the scenes in here just had me rolling, especially with I guess the core finale, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But yeah,
I
definitely
would,
a recommendation though.
I would recommend it.
Yeah. So then we move on to
another one of my favorites.
Well, yeah, this one can be a little polarizing as well. It's Shumatsu no Izetta, or Izetta the Last Witch. Now, during the First Impressions podcast, well, actually, I don't remember if it was during the First Impressions podcast, because we did that one a little late.
Nope, we gave this one so much praise.
Yeah, I think this.
But yeah, during the getting around to it, during the very beginning of the season, like the first 4 episodes or so, it was just almost perfection for me. Alt history, action, just so epic.
Then the pie happened.
Yeah, then there was an episode that was half filler that was, the filler half had the girls going out for pie in the capital city. And after that, it just went until about episode, 10.
About when the final battle starts.
Yeah, basically. And then it was okay, we're coming back up a little bit.
It was stalling out in the middle, and then it pulled up in time.
Yeah.
To prevent it from
I
crashing.
had so much hope for this.
Well, yeah, let's just put it this way. My First Impressions top 5, this was number 2 behind Drifters. Mm-hmm. What we're about to say when we finish up this podcast, this didn't even make my top 5. In fact, it probably ended up as my second to last, to be honest.
I was about to say, which one would you say is worse, this or Flip Flappers?
Flip Flappers.
Oh. That's all right.
Yeah, no, actually, I probably would place that second to last.
It's all right.
And that's so disappointing because there's so many good characters.
It's a lot of great characters in there, and it started off just magnificently. Thought they would just keep it up with this really nice alt history war tale that just so happens to have a witch in it.
Yeah.
Izetta is still my waifu for the season.
Now, well, I mean, I picked my waifu for the season as Bianca.
Yeah.
I fucking love Bianca. I would totally get a figurine of Bianca.
The characters are...
I really... Except for two characters. Two characters I don't like. Other than that, I like all the characters.
So I think we know which one. Oh, what one is? What's the other one?
Latte.
Yeah, Latte
I
is
figured.
one, and Elvira is the other one.
Okay, yeah, the one I don't really don't buy.
Yeah. Okay, Latte is useless. She does nothing to the story.
She's the token lolly, and that's it.
Yeah, she's the token lolly, and that's basically it. And she just bothers me so much. I'm not entirely sure why, but
Just something.
she's just annoying to me.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to be there, and that's what I think annoys me. And kind of the same thing with Elvira too.
That's exactly why I don't like Elvira. She
'Cause-
doesn't need to be there.
Well,
and
they introduce her at first, and at first I think, okay, she's gonna be a major character.
Yeah.
I'm not a really big fan of the whole, oh, let me just grope you just to, whatever, just for fan service.
It's a slight eye roll there, but
Yes, very, very, okay, middling eye roll.
yeah, it's like,
It's slightly more
Elvira,
than
do your
slight.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Okay.
whatever, that's a really dumb setup for a character. But then she does nothing for the rest of the series. And
I know,
I'm
I'm
sitting
like-
there wondering, why are you there?
Okay, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe she's a spy for Atlanta because they were thinking about maybe invading Ilstat and in Germania Sid or invading Germania or whatever.
But it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Nothing happens. She just gropes the girls and kind of
Gives
fucks
them-
off to the sideline. Really,
Gropes the girls and gives them dresses.
that's it. I mean, she's basically a sugar mama.
Basically.
So,
So, that's basically just another character that I felt was a detriment to the story.
yeah, you could have just taken them both out of the story, and it wouldn't hurt it. In fact, I think it would have made it better.
Pretty much, yeah.
Then,
And then, like towards the middle, then of course I got to bring it up because it annoys the fuck out of me. That stupid ass love plot between Ricelet, the not Germany spy, and Bianca, the head of the Royal Guard. It's a one episode thing. Ricelet dies at the end of the episode at the hands of Bianca. And then not only is it a one episode thing and she feels, I guess, sort of bad at the end of the episode, never brought up again. It was completely pointless. Absolutely, completely pointless. And I even felt that they didn't even need to send Ricelet into that situation to begin with.
no, I mean they had a huge network of spies throughout Ildstadt already. The people who helped Ricelet into the old castle.
They had the people who helped Ricelet into the old castle. Then they had that other spy that he was working with. And
You had guys like Berkman. You had guys like Captain Hans, were they? Captain
No.
Badass.
no, Hans was the blonde guy in the Ildstadt army.
Oh, right, never mind.
I can't remember the guy's name. The pilot you're talking about.
Bassler.
Bessler.
Never mind. I gotta look at it down here.
But yeah, they had a huge network of spies there, and honestly, they could have gotten done with that mission without Ricelet.
Probably.
No.
So,
So again, a pointless
another pointless thing.
subplot that time that could have been, better used. But yeah, that was pretty much like the tail, like the middle of the series. A bunch of like pointless subplots that could have been used better. But
I almost want to take this series, and make my personal cut,
Right.
and actually put that up online
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Izetta will last switch. Zero's cut.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that I'd have a better. I don't want to be that arrogant to say that I can make
Do
a
it
better
better,
story, but I can make a better story.
Ooh, ouch. Or at least arrange it better.
Yeah. Now the end of the story I thought was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, using the flying analogy, it pulled out just in time to save itself.
Pretty much.
But yeah, the whole middle part, I mean, there's so much stuff you could have gone over that it glossed over in the last couple of episodes. Like Berkman's time with, with the occultic warehouse or Division 9 or whatever the hell. Well, Harris 13. Gravity Falls, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that could have been gone over. Sophie's past, the real Legend of the Witch could have been gone over. Just, yeah, just that middle section. It's like a tumor.
Well, I mean, like there was parts. There was good parts. There was funny parts. There was enjoyable parts.
And there's Zetta's parts. Sorry, I had to.
Unfortunately, as
They
much
spend so much time on the crap.
that I can't recommend this.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely a non-recommended.
It was one of my favorites, but I can't recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, before I would probably say, I mean, just maybe watch a couple episodes, but yeah, at the series as a whole, the middle part kills it.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically, like, the beginning was almost the perfect anime for me, and then the middle part was such garbage, and then the end, to me, is just average. There's nothing special about it to me at all.
It would have been better if the development happened in the middle part, but it didn't.
Yeah, so, definitely no, not recommended whatsoever.
I don't know. I feel like I could have, if I was in control of this storyboard, I could have stretched this to be a nice, serious anime with funny bits that lasted 24 episodes. That had the exact same story.
Except, better.
Better.
Anyway, so...
We should make an anime one day, show them how it's done.
Yeah. So we move on to the last one that we reacted to this season, which is Webbon Working!
Yeah.
How do I put it? I love working.
No, you don't.
Not the physical act of working.
Yeah, not the
I
physical
love
wage
the
slavery.
series working. Like, I mean, just dead serious. The whole freaking franchise is amazing as a comedy anime, as a workplace comedy.
I want to put this out here real quick. When I first moved in with these guys, they were watching the last season of Working.
Of the original series.
Right?
Well, the
Original.
original series.
Original sequel.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was like, whenever it came up, I was like, oh my god, more of this slice of life shit. Oh god. And then I watched this. And now I want to go back and I want to watch the rest of the damn thing.
Pretty much.
That's the thing, though. I mean, the term slice of life, and so I'll only touch on it briefly here. I feel this could merit its own podcast. It's supposed to be just that, a slice of everyday normal life. In terms of anime, yes, it's been hijacked by cute girls doing silly/stupid things.
Well, slice of life is a really large genre.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be a bit of human life. It's complex.
Yeah, so you get something like a workplace comedy like Webbon Working, or or this season you get something like Long Riders, which is a Moe Blob series, or you get something like what's the Japanese title? Udon no Kuni no Kiniro Kamari, Udon Poco's Udon World, which is more along the lines of like Barakamon or Amama to Inazuma.
Sort of wholesome, wholesome recollection of goings on in people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I try not to use slice of life as the only the only description for things.
But it is a convenient broad brush to have.
Yeah. So if you say slice of life, then the person knows that it's the everyday life of
Okay.
what's the other genres?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
And that kind of shapes.
Unfortunately, slice of life, because it is so encompassing, I get annoyed I just get annoyed at the tag slice of life. I do. Because it's filled up with so many other things.
It's like the alt rock of anime.
Yeah, pretty much.
So many things just fit underneath that umbrella that...
Good things, bad things,
things.
ugly things, funny things. Meh.
But
Just
again,
things.
though, just a lot of things, good, bad, ugly. But again, that's human life. It's just a
So,
giant mess.
I mean, as far as Webbound working goes, actually, as a fan of the original sequel, oh, it's so hard. Manga came out first, or the web manga came out first, but the other one had an anime first. But
George Lucas! Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, as a fan of the other working series, I really, really like this one because the author didn't reuse like anything, which I find is really almost amazing.
Yeah, the only thing he really reused was just the situation that everyone works at a restaurant called Wagnaria.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Now, you saw some of the character archetypes like Miyakoshi being really strong.
Strong but kind of dumb.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily bring the dumb thing into it with the other series.
Yeah, true.
But, like, you get Miyakoshi being really strong, but it's not a major part of the series like Inami being really strong in the other one.
Well, she's like almost Super Saiyan
Yeah.
compared to Miyakoshi.
Or, what's another one that's... Or like I think in the opening it shows Shiho walking around with a sword, and I'm thinking,
Right. And you see that through the series too.
yeah, I'm thinking, oh god, it's
Yachio again.
yeah, oh god, it's Yachio again, but it's not. They use it completely differently. Every single character is just completely different.
From characters.
Possibly with the exception of Daisuke and Takanashi. They're both kind of similar characters,
sort
really.
of tech turn,
But
always playing the straight man.
Yeah, you kind of have to have that kind of character when everybody else is so fucking insane.
Well, I was saying always playing the straight man, but in Takanashi's case,
Well, even
No.
even in Daisuke's case, sometimes he can let a little bit loose. Usually, it's for those group gags where they they have something going on in the foreground, and then you have like 4 people comment on it, which is hilarious.
this restaurant's beyond
That
saving.
rule of 4 thing.
Yeah.
Rule of 4, a nice take on the rule of 3.
But I just love how everything like flips around at the end. Like maybe not all of it flips around, but
What flips around?
the shipping.
That is definitely a major part of.
That's a major part of the working universe.
Yeah.
But when you first start off, everybody is so sour and so toxic, and at the end of it, everybody gets together.
Boom, relationships everywhere. Well, except for Kono, but fuck him, right?
Butt monkey doesn't get any.
Unfortunately,
No, no, don't fuck him. Nobody would. But yeah, you see that kind of character in these sorts of comedies. Just that butt monkey.
But yeah, as for Webbond, how it stacks up, it's a working series through and through. Kind of reminds me, the relationship that Webbond Working has with its predecessor reminds me of the relationship that Mob Psycho 100 has with One Punch Man, in that you see what the author's going for, but it's not entirely as polished as the previous work.
Yeah, absolutely.
As the previous, probably like more famous work, I think. Yeah. So the comedy isn't as like, I don't know, it doesn't have quite the same flow of the original sequel series, but still very much the author's style, and I love it.
Yep. I will always recommend Working.
Always.
The series.
Recommended
not
for
the action.
Always for all ages.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Honestly, Working is a series that I would even watch with my family.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it just, all the praise. It's so good.
Well, my family is a little different.
Yeah.
My family would definitely love Working.
If they gave it a chance, perhaps, or
I actually think my family would have a better time with Keijo.
Never mind that.
So,
okay,
yeah, but they're weird. So,
wasn't expecting that, honestly.
Yeah, I could still recommend Working. I'd recommend Working over the other slice of life that we watched, Sangatsu no Line.
to be honest, I probably would too.
It's definitely more of an accessible series.
It's funny because Rizzo, you said that you ranked Sangatsu no Line pretty high on your list.
Well, now that I'm kind of thinking through it, I guess we'll use this as a segue to the list.
Yep. You've already mentioned that you hate flip flappers.
Yeah.
I hate Sangatsu no Line. I can recommend it. I like it.
It's just
But
not.
in terms of everything that I don't like about anime, it's Sangatsu no Line.
It has the stuff that you just don't find enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I have probably the most gripes overall on Sangatsu no Line. That being said, it's still good. I still like it.
What are your tops, though?
Yeah.
My tops.
So let's start with number 5.
Number 5 would probably be Working, which is saying something.
What bomb work?
Saying a lot of something. Saying a lot of something.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Number 5. Oh, jeez. My number 5. Ah, man. Spoiled for choice. I'm gonna have to go with Gundam for my number 5. I mean, as we said earlier when we were talking about it, it's a golden median for what you should have in a Gundam series, between the realism and grittiness and the, fantastical science fiction of the Gundam universe. And also a very deep cast of characters. Not a whole lot of cardboard cutouts among them either. So, yeah, definitely a top pick. Rizzo?
I'm probably going to have to go with Maho Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku for my number 5. I really like it, but typically I'm more of the kind of comedy, slice of life kind of guy.
Right.
But it kind of slid a little bit down for me from where I probably would have placed it, just because of how it kind of glosses over people's deaths.
Great.
Like that was like the number one issue I had with that series. It was the only real irritation that I had for it, but it's a big one.
Yeah.
So
that's a big one for me too.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna have to be my number 5.
All right.
Let's see, on to number 4. Stop scrolling down, damn you.
Where do you want it?
I was fine where it was at. Number 4. Number 4 is actually going to be Girlish Number.
Oh my. Okay.
So there's 2 Slice of Life series that has made it to my top 5 in one season.
The Slice of Life Fan Raging Project. Pun.
That's almost what Otaku Saga has been boiled down to.
I don't know. Not my shirt.
Not the Keijo shirt.
I just bought this.
Okay. Okay, number 4. Would you mind scrolling up, Rizzo?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, down. Of all these, for me, number 4, I'm gonna have to go with Keijo, simply because it is, well, as I've said multiple times, don't expect anything deep from it, but it's a guilty pleasure. It truly is, and you don't get a lot of those in an anime season, I don't think. Especially if you set out to react to series, and eventually, when we get around to a review series, normally you kind of have to turn on your serious, artsy art critic face. But Keijo, you just let that guard down, week in, week out.
I don't.
Oh, just wait. We will get on with that.
Yeah, when we hit the top 3. Speaking of which.
No. What the critic thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we definitely get on that.
We'll get on that.
So yeah, as far as number 4 goes, I'm gonna have to go with webbound working. I'm actually almost surprised at myself that it didn't place higher, but that just goes to show how good the top 3 were for me.
Okay.
So webbound working, as I've said, is very funny. The working series almost always has me rolling like nonstop when I'm watching it, but it surprisingly only plays number 4 for me.
Okay.
Take a quick scroll up. Okay. Number 3 for me is going to be Maha Shoujo Ikisei Kaikaku. Just more blood, guts, gore, supernatural, fantasy, action, magic. Everything that I like in anime. I just wish that there was more detail. It would have gotten higher if there was so much more detail.
Okay. Respectable choice too. Number 3 for me, webbound working. I love my comedies. I love the whole working series, and again, this is a continuation of the author's style, or at least a continuation of the introduction to the author's comedic stylings. So, it can only be good for me.
My number 3 is going to be Girlish Number. It's really well written. I feel. So.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm on number 2.
Yep.
Keijo. There's only one anime in this season that trumps Keijo, honestly, for me. Keijo is damn near the perfect anime. I mean, what can you have a problem with it?
No, it is the perfect anime.
It's so perfect.
I know. Jiggly, bouncy. Anyway.
But yeah, Keijo!
Just relax, enjoy. It's a show. You should really just relax.
Yeah, pretty
just
much.
enjoy it, right? Okay. Number 2 for moi, Nanbaka. I mean, yeah, the seriousness and the comedy are jarring. I mean, we've established that. But when it's funny, to me, it is absolute gold. And I mean, it leaves me in tears, my stomach hurting, beside myself. The kind of laughter that adds years to your life.
I'm reminded of a scene just by what you said. I don't know why, but I was reminded of, oh yeah, Nama Prison's craftsmanship is bar none. Best in the world. Hey look, I made a mecha!
And I made a waifu.
Dong! Oh, you made a shelf, huh?
Bam!
Or
what's more there to say?
I know, right? It's people have been finding, beating each other up funny, like since people first thought shit was funny.
Yeah. Nanbaka probably would have placed higher for me, except for the kind of the dark stuff I'm not a super big fan.
It's polarizing.
Yeah.
It is polarizing. It's jarring, and I mean, it's still good, but you know, it's not exactly what I watch it for. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention Your Moments of Momo.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Momo.
goodness! I dare you to find a cuter prison warden. You can't. But yeah, when it's on, and then some for me, and that's why it's my number 2.
So my number 2, and I'm actually going to talk about this a fair bit because it's not a series we were reacting to.
Ah.
My number 2 is Udon no Kuni no Kiniro Kimari, or Poco's Udon World. Poco's Udon World is a slice of life that is, I feel, was really like similar to like a Barakamon or something of that nature.
Kind of looks that way from the promo art.
Yeah, where basically this so this guy, he's a web designer in Tokyo. He comes back home after his father's death to clean up the family home and their udon shop because him and his sister had decided to clean it up and sell it. And while he's there, when he's cleaning out the udon shop, he finds this young child, which he shortly discovers is actually a tanuki in disguise.
Huh.
And he names him Poco. And it's the main bulk of the series is about Soda, I believe the main character's name. Yeah. Soda basically coming to terms with the poor relationship that he had with his father and kind of his direction in life and things like that. I gotta admit, out of everything that I've watched like in the past probably year, this one got me fucking bawling.
Damn.
With especially with his relationship with his father and his regret, because in the series he had gotten, well, basically he used to like being the son of a udon maker, and then kids bullying him at school, cause saying they always smelled like soup stock and shit like that. But then in high school he ends up getting injured while actually saving a tanuki, which ends up being Poco.
Oh.
From a car, and he injured his knee really badly, and then shortly after that a website that he had designed for a friend gets noticed by a web designer in Tokyo, so he decides instead of inheriting the udon shop he's going to go up to Tokyo and be a web designer. And of course his father's not supportive of that, and they end up having a falling out. So he had a really bad relationship with his father that he now regrets because his father, died.
That's hard.
Yeah, I don't know the whole story about with his father, and then his mother had died when he was really young too. But the whole story there, just I don't know, it just like hit me right there. It was so good. But it, as good as it was, it cannot beat out the basic perfection that is our unanimous number 1.
Unanimous.
Drifters.
Hands down.
Mm-hmm. All hail.
All hail.
Yeah, all hail the king of alt military action, all history military action anime.
Pretty much. Damn. I mean, they nailed down just so many details. They nailed down just so much
figures they portray.
Awesome. Just sheer manly brutality. Awesome.
Not just awesome. Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome.
I did do that on purpose the first time.
How you doing?
Yeah. I mean, watching fuck, I forgot his name.
Which one?
The main one.
Toyohisa?
I knew it started with a T.
go on.
True to form.
But when Toyohisa just on one of the last fight, Toyohisa just sits there and takes a fucking takes a shotgun or a
like a volume musket fire.
Yeah.
It almost looked like.
It wasn't. It was one of those blunderbusses, but he takes blunderbuss fire to the back, and just stands there. Just badass. Just fucking badass.
Badass. And that's the word right there, really. Yeah, if you profess to like any sort of like over the top action stories and you don't like drifters, then you don't really like action that you don't like action that's that over the top. Sorry, there's a bit of a tongue twister there.
But yeah, drifters.
Yeah, up there with like your all-time classic badassery, like any movie Chuck Norris starred in, or your Evil Deads, or just pure sort of over-the-top macho awesomeness.
Yep. And we have actually reached the end of this end of season podcast.
I know, right?
I think that honestly, out of everything that I've watched, there's still just one katana that I want overall, and that's the guy from Kuromakuro. I love Toyohisa's katana. I love all the weapons in here, but I still want his katana. That's about the only katana that I'd probably fanboy over.
I want it, and I want to shank all the subgroups who fucked over Kuromakuro for us repeatedly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Otherwise, that probably would have been up there with drifters.
Probably.
Well, actually, from what we've seen, it is.
Probably.
But
Anywho,
hop back on the Kuromakuro train for one more video, right?
it's okay. We're gonna finish it up.
Yeah.
I don't know when exactly, but we are gonna finish it up. It'll probably be the last thing that we get back to, just because we have so many episodes of it. But
we have so many episodes of it. We have a lot of stuff to do between then now and then as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's about it.
So
it's gonna do it for this time on Otaku Saga Talks. As always, I'm Rizzo.
I'm Zero.
and I'm DK.
See you next time.